Attention, everybody. The views and opinions expressed on the show are not necessarily those of Axe Ministry, Axe Media Group, and/or their affiliated supported ministries and their own products. So, without any further ado, it's the man with the plan to put gold in your hand, and his son Asa, Tony Hammock. Take it away.
Good morning, everybody out there in Axe Media viewer land.
Good morning.
We are excited to be here. We have got a packed show today. A couple of new things, a couple old things, and probably just a little bit different on time. I'm going to have to take off just a little early, so Mr. Asa will be bringing us home, and I'm sure he'll do a wonderful job and so forth. But if you're in Southwest Missouri, you know it's absolutely fantastic out there. And if you're not, hopefully it's as good there as it is here and so forth. So anyway, one of the things that we wanted to start with is something that we totally forgot to talk about last week. We got so crazy with everything that was going on, and Asa and I got home, and we were kind of doing a little review of the show and stuff, and I was like, oh my gosh, we didn't even cover this. Do you want to bring it up?
Absolutely. So last week, Tony was mentioning one of the plans was the you had this $299. What is it called? It's like the ultimate plan.
Well, what they did was they had an emergency printing, I guess you'd call it, of the American Silver Eagle. And the key thing here is that they printed it out of the Philadelphia Mint and not the West Point Mint. And the reason why that's important is that the West Point Mint, everything is automated. It never has a chance to be touched by a human hand. Where in Philadelphia, they can make these, but they have a spot where they can be touched. And because of that, there are some that do not end up being MS-70. The highest grading you can have with these collectible coins, the Silver Eagles and the Gold Eagles and stuff, is what's called MS-70. It stands for Mint State 70. So some of them come out MS-69 and P-69, things like that. So they'd had June 1st, they'd had a offering of this coin, which, why is it important besides that?
As he said, the basis of the coin is since it's not automated, it's extremely rare that, or it's the rate at which you get the MS-70, the perfect mint condition, is so much rarer. And it was an emergency production, is the real thing about it. And so because of that, you have much fewer of these coins in such a mint condition. And so these have quite a bit more rare value. And what I was saying earlier about the ultimate plan is we were talking about last week that there was a plan where you can get either a Gold Eagle a month, or they'll give you an extra rare coin. And this was the extra rare coin. This is what they decided was could be worth even more than a Gold Eagle. And turns out so far they seem to be right, because it's already gotten a markup, right?
Yeah, every time we do something with 7K Metals, I'm always the big skeptic. So I check the price everywhere, and we got this particular coin for $2.99, and before I was able to part with those hard-earned dollars, I was just checking on the internet to see if could it be less expensive someplace else. And the closest I came was I think it was Amazon, and somebody had it for like $3.25. So I know $26 doesn't sound like a lot, but on a percentage basis, on a $299 amount, that's huge. That's almost 10%. And especially if you're going to buy several of them. So the other thing I kept kind of poking at Asa there, hoping he would go ahead and say it, is
I miss it.
on the cover. This is the Donald Trump emergency printed coin. And the only reason why this emergency part of it is important is the last time they did this, or one of the last times they did this, which was 2015, I believe. They printed another printing out of the pressing, I guess I should say, out of Philadelphia. Was those coins also, came out at a modest price, probably $2.99, something like that. And in some cases now, if you can find those, they're going for over $10,000. And so you figure from 2015 to 2020, that's like 5 years. That ain't bad when you're talking about a nominal investment like that and stuff. But anyway, so that was the one thing we forgot last week, and we wanted just to kind of bring it up that once again they've done a good job in finding something that's rare and getting it into our hands at a reasonable price and stuff. The other things that happened that we kind of wanted to get into was the fact that there is a little holiday coming up Sunday called Father's Day.
Oh, really?
Have you gotten your Father's Day gift yet?
I plead the fifth. He might be too.
Well, the reason why I thought I'd mention that, and not to be too commercial on you and stuff, but it's just that both Asa and myself have our own online stores. What's your website?
Mine is 7kmetals.com/Asa Scott, and his is 7kmetals.com/Tony Hammock.
So you can go to either one of those, and when you first see the page come on your, the screen of your computer, up in, I guess that would be the northwest corner, there is a Shop Now button. And you can hit that button, and it will take you to the store. And the store is broken up in categories. There's 7K Select, bullion, jewelry, and I'm forgetting one of them. But anyway, in the jewelry area, there are some very unique gifts for Dad. So if you're still shopping for Dad, and today's Wednesday, you could probably still get it by Saturday. Today's probably the last day we can say that. And the ones that kind of stuck out to me, just in looking through this and stuff, is they had a ring, a men's ring. It was gold band, but right in the middle of it was a gold panda coin from China. I mean, it's only a little I think it's 1/10 of an ounce or something like that. So it's not a full ounce of gold, but it's definitely gold through and through. And I think those were, this might be a little bit out of some people's budgets, but I want to say like $5.99 or $6.99. But it'd be really a neat gift for somebody who wanted something really, really unique. The other one that kind of got my attention and stuff. Do you want to talk about the shells?
I do. So they had a package of silver bullets. Each of them, they're like 2-ounce thick silver bullets. So it's great. I mean, it can double as a Father's Day present and, vampire defense. So how important that is. We don't know what's going to happen in 2020. It's already been wild the first 6 months, so better be prepared for anything. But no, it's extremely cool. And back on the 2-day thing, or on the getting it before Father's Day, as I said last week, the moment we pulled the trigger like late on Friday, and they had it.
That's right.
Yeah, they had it to me by Sunday. They immediately sent in the 2-day shipping. So I think they do that for basically all their products, right?
Well, yeah, and if you'll notice, every time we bring something out, we're always showing a FedEx envelope.
Yeah, we are.
They've got a great arrangement with FedEx. And so we've been real impressed with the delivery of anything that we've done there and stuff. But back to the stores, those are just two of the items. I mean, there's several of the items that are down $25, $30. I don't want to mislead anybody and stuff like that. But and then they've got obviously ones that are more expensive. But there is a number of items in there that might appeal to that special dad in your life, or if you are a dad and you don't want another something that goes in the drawer and never gets seen again type of thing, you might just let your loved ones know that they can go to www.7kmetals.com, Asa Scott, or
Tony Hammock.
So all you do is after that / just change the name. But either one of us would be very grateful for any business you can send our way. And I can tell you this, the recipient of this unique gift would be very grateful, because trust me, it will be something that they will cherish, and it will be unlike any other Father's Day gift any of their friends are getting. So anyway, Father's Day is fast approaching. And by the way, as long as we're that far, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there watching us.
Happy Father's Day.
Oh, well, thank you. And You know, I will tell you this, and I thought about saying this. I don't know if I can say this and not get emotional or anything like this, but you know, Lauren and I are both on our second marriage, and when we first got together, there were 3 boys that came with the package. Noah, our oldest, who's 25 now, Jonah, who just turned 22 back on June 10th, and of course Mr. Asa here. And then for those of you that have met Luke, we had to have, you know, one of our own and stuff. But, you know, all these years later, what is that, 2006? 14 years later, it's kind of neat that the diamonds in the rough, so to speak, turned out to be these 3 young gentlemen. So it's been quite a neat ride, and we're looking for some big things from this guy, and from all 4 of them to be exact. But
Hey, you were 1 for 4 at least.
yeah,
So.
well, 1 for 4. I mean, you know. Golly gosh, who do you think the one is? Oh, my goodness. Okay, so why don't we segue, if I can real quick, I think I've got it queued up here. We're going to segue into the stewardship course because you know, if you're a repeat viewer, how I like this part of the show just because it kind of keeps, if it doesn't keep us on track, it keeps me on track. And this is course 7 in this particular, or I should say lesson 7 in this particular course. It's called Action Steps and Growing in Generosity. And it says, my hope for this series is that you would find financial freedom and glorify God with your money. So many things happen when we get our finances in order, and this shouldn't come as a surprise. It's the same thing, for example, when we get healthy and get our bodies in order. There are so many benefits to this that you can't even count them all up. It's not just about a weight number, but so much more happens to us physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually when we take care of ourselves. Why would we think it would be any different when we take care of our finances? By now you might be asking yourself how to get started. You might also be a little overwhelmed and just need a few simple steps to get going. Well, here you go. As I talked about in the savings part of this series, I think the first few steps that many resources include are great initial steps to be taken. I'm not the financial expert, but here are the steps I would tell you to take to get started. Step 1, save $1,000 to start an emergency fund. You know, most people say have 3 to 6 months of living expenses saved up. So that's, it's a case by case. If it takes $5,000 a month to take care of your family, then you probably would want to have $15,000. If it takes $500 a month, then maybe $500 to $1,500. I mean, it's truly case by case, but in this case, they're saying $1,000. That way you can cover most emergencies without adding to your debt. With so many side hustle options out there nowadays, there's no reason you can't focus and get this done. Step 2, pay off all debt, excluding mortgage. Slay the debt monster and keep him down. Get everything paid off, and yes, that includes cars and student loans. Get rid of the debt. Remember that God is a sufficient provider, so we shouldn't be in debt to begin with. Stop listening to the culture trying to tickle your ears and lead you away from obedience. Step 3, save 3 to 6 months of expenses and savings. Well, see, there you go. You already got $1,000 in there by now, and the debt is gone, so you've developed some strong disciplines up to this point. Pray about what this looks like for you and calculate how much you need for expenses per year. Then pick the number and get it done. Step 4, work towards investing 15% as a starting point for retirement. Get the free match from your employer if you have one. Increase the percentage that is going in. Turn the focus towards retirement in terms of getting the wheel moving at 15%, but consider that a starting point, not an end goal. Consider that a starting point, not an end goal. Step 5, other future goals. This may include paying off a house, saving for a down payment, saving for college, real estate, small business investments, and others. The door is wide open here on how you believe in God, how you believe God is leading you, but don't forget the importance of completing the other steps on this list. And the one thing I would say to go along with those is I would put the tithing part of that probably at the top of the list. Because, in a lesson we had here not too long ago, we learned that sometimes God is looking for us to demonstrate that we can handle the smaller things before he gives us a chance at the bigger things. So, for example, if you're making, not that much, I know it's difficult. It's difficult for me, I will admit, but I would suggest you figure out a way to tithe something so that you can, stay true to the Lord, and everything else kind of falls in place after that. And I know that if you're aware or friends with Jim Whining or Dr. Paul Collins, hopefully they would agree. In fact, I know they would agree that that's probably a good starting point. But that's this week's stewardship lesson. And hopefully you agree that it's kind of a fun lesson and stuff. Sometimes we have longer lessons. Sometimes we have shorter lessons and stuff. But anyway, what are your thoughts?
I thought that was great. Yeah. I think that's especially the 3 to 6 month savings. I mean, that's always what you keep saying on the show, and it really is important. I mean, we were talking last week that almost 50% of a normal person in America couldn't handle a random $400 expense.
That's right. That's right. That's part of this one presentation we have, which is what was it, 40 or 50% of the Americans out there, if we had a $400 unexpected expense, an emergency, what have you, and stuff like that. You want to go through that?
Yeah, it's 44%, and yeah, that's pretty shocking when you think about it. I mean, $400 is a chunk, but I mean, all things considered, it's not that much when you're considering how bombastic some of these expenses can be, especially in today's day and age, when people are like constantly losing their jobs and the market is unpredictable. $400 could come and go quite quickly, and so.
Excuse me. Yes, and I mean, let's put it this way. Let's say you went out to your car after work, or in the morning or whatever, and you had a flat tire. I mean, I don't know if you've priced getting new tires lately. I mean, hopefully you could just get it patched and you'd be up and running. But like the most recent one we had on my wife's car, it kind of came in more from the side. It was right there on the where the sidewall kind of connects to the bottom of the tire there. So we had to replace the whole tire. And I can tell you for a fact that was more than $400. So, those things do come along, and all they're saying is most people would have to put that on credit if they had credit. I mean, think about it. Some people don't have much credit at any point. And so, that might mean having to borrow it from a loved one. That might mean a friend. It may mean having to sell something, and having that garage sale, or, whatever it means and stuff like that. So, I think one of the missions of this show is to hopefully share with you some ways with alternative assets that would allow you to save for the future with, let's say, gold and silver. I mean, I know sometimes we talk about palladium and platinum and, rhodium and all these kinds of things and stuff like that, but I think that would be one of our main missions here, so that you can stay away from having too much invested in the fiat currency. Do you want to tell them what fiat currency is?
Yes, fiat currency is the currency that isn't linked to anything that is purely by itself valuable. So usually fiat currency refers to paper money, because paper money on its own is just paper. The only reason it has value is because everybody would agree it has value. What used to happen before we went to the paper money fiat system that the United States currently happens, as many people know, is that the dollar was connected to an amount of gold. And so it had real value because it was equivalent to some amount of gold, because that's what it stood for. In fact, I mean, before that, of course, we relied on things such as gold and silver coins. But now, the dollar itself isn't worth anything besides what we say it is. And so if the dollar continues to lose its value as it is now, or if the dollar suddenly doesn't have any value, the dollar is worthless. It's a piece of paper. Whereas things that are actually hard forms of money, such as gold and silver, I mean, those themselves have their value. The precious metals have value in it of themselves. And so there's a reason why, paper money used to be linked to those, is because those are what the ultimate form of currency would be.
Well, I mean, let's take that a step further with an example. And some of you that watch week in, week out will probably remember this as I kind of get into it and stuff. But, you know, back in 1965, if you had $2,500 and let's say you had it in cash, or you had 2,500 1-ounce ounces of silver. See you, Steve.
See ya.
Steve McAllister's leaving the house, folks.
Take care.
Have a good one. So 2,500 of cash or 2,500 in silver back in 1965, you could have bought a brand new Ford Mustang. And there's a lot of reasons why we use that car. It saved Ford Motor Company. It was Lee Iacocca's baby. It was the original pony car. I mean, it's a neat story.
He's a
But-
car guy.
Yeah, if you can't tell. But if you fast forward to today and you walked into a Ford dealership and you had $2,500, do you think you could buy a new Ford Mustang?
Do you think you could even buy the front seat?
I don't think so. I mean,
Get a down payment, I guess.
well, I guess you could get a down
Maybe.
payment, but then you'd go into debt. Whereas if you had 2,500 ounces of silver today, see what I did there? It's 2,565, 2,500 a day. 2,500 ounces of silver not only would buy you one car, it may buy you two. I mean, if you could get the 6-cylinder and not the 8, and if you could get the cloth interior versus the leather, you know, kind of a few of those options and stuff, you might be able to squeeze 2 cars out of the amount of 2,500 ounces of silver today. And I just think that kind of says it there perfectly. I don't know if you're comfortable talking about the real estate example.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
So a lot of people think that real estate is known as the end-all, be-all, best thing you can invest in, right? Like usually people say the best way to like protect your money is real estate, and there is some truth to that. Real estate does increase in value considerably, but when it compares to the precious metals, it's actually kind of lame. So let's go back to that year in 1965. Let's say instead of $2,500 or ounces of silver, you had $10,000, clean $10,000. You have person A and person B. Person A invests that $10,000 in real estate, and person B invests that $10,000 in gold. But flash forward to 2019. The person that invested in real estate, their $10,000 upgraded to be $85,803, which is quite respectable. That's about an 850% markup, so not too shabby at all. Person B, who invested in gold, didn't just get $85,000. Theirs upgraded to be $421,000, which is considerably higher of a markup than the real estate. You want to compare an 850% markup to a 4,200% increase in value, and that's if you price it out. That's because like gold in 1965 was $35.50 an ounce. In 2019, now it's $1,501 and that was as of the 2019 value report.
yeah, in fact, you know what? That's a great segue into today's prices, which I was going to start with Bitcoin, but let's just jump right into gold here real quick because as we speak, or I should say as of 9:24 a minute ago, gold, the spot price for gold was $1,725.10. So quite a difference between.
Yeah, this was 2019. So even in 1 year, the price of gold went up by more than $200.
Silver today is $17.55. Platinum is $826, and palladium is $1,962, and rhodium is $8,300. And by the way, those 5 metals are considered the precious metals, and those prices are by the ounce. So, like for example, an ounce of rhodium is $8,300. If you get into the base metals, these prices are by the pound. Copper is $2.59 a pound. Nickel is $5.81. Aluminum is 72 cents. Zinc is 91 cents. Lead is 80 cents. And then uranium. And by the way, uranium is $32.85. And because Mr. Asa here last week was so inquisitive about uranium, we did have a few government types come to our door last week. wanting to know why he wanted so much uranium.
Yes, we had a little conversation, and they held up their little pen thing and told me to look at it. I don't really remember what happened after that.
Well, and remember, all joking aside, I mean, you can invest in uranium. I mean, you need to Google this as far as the right way to do it, but if I remember correctly, you need to apply through the government for the ability to buy uranium, and only in very small quantities. So, and only a certain grade of uranium. So if you're really, wanting to be like the doctor in Back to the Future, you could get some uranium and not have to steal it.
Make, what's he call it, the flux capacitor?
Yeah, you can make your own capacitor. So, and then barrel of oil is $37.64. And remember, you heard it here first about a month ago. Remember, I was in here telling you how oil was below zero? I mean, it had, because of the futures, it had gone down to where it was not even $1. It wasn't even a penny. It was less than zero. But I also said that'd be a good point to maybe jump in if you could. And, of course, today it's $37.64. Trust me, there's been a lot of money made probably by people that were able to take advantage of that. Buy low, sell high. Don't buy high and sell low. That's not the way you want to do that. Unfortunately, a lot of us do it that way. But anyway, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average as of 9:26 this morning, it's up $15.72. It's at 26,305. So once again, since the last time we were together, there has just been a ton of volatility out there, and it's it always unnerves me when a headline can cause a 5 or 6% swing in the market. I mean, like right now, everybody's excited because why are they excited? There was something that happened last week. The jobs
the jobs report wasn't quite as bad as people were expecting.
Yeah, and it went up like 7% in one day, and then all of a sudden over the weekend, people got to thinking that the second round of the virus that everybody was starting to acknowledge was going to be more devastating. And so, I think it was Monday, the market was off a great deal. So, let's put it this way. The long and short of it is, no pun intended, the market is probably not a place to be for widows and orphans or retirees and stuff. We always like to use a rule called the Wall Street rule, which is you take your age from 100. So, for example, let's say, like in my case, I'm 62. That would leave 38. So, in my portfolio, if I was following this rule, 38% of my portfolio should be in equities. And that way, 62% are in more conservative type of investment vehicles. And Mr. Asa here, at a whopping 19 years old, could have
81%.
81% in equities. So, and really, that's not a bad rule to follow. I mean, if you think about it, because, God forbid something happened to his portfolio. I mean, he's still got a long time to recover. And with dollar cost averaging that we've talked about before, he probably could do well, between age 19 and age, let's say 59 or 62, and stuff like that. Now, as me at 62, if I had, a sizable portfolio and just everything fell apart in the equities and stuff, that could be one of those things I wouldn't have enough time to make it up. I mean, I think I've got 30-some years left, 38 years left, but I don't know, it's kind of a mystery. My wife keeps asking me how much life insurance I have, and I'm kind of wondering what's going on behind the scenes there. So, if I'm not...
It's probably better you don't know.
If I'm not here one week and it's just Asa, you'll know that I ended up waking up one morning being worth more dead than alive. And so, her name's Lorna. You know where to find her. Anyway, I digress. What else did we want to do on this show?
I've got life insurance on me too, but...
Oh, yeah, we made sure of that.
Oh.
Yeah, in fact, kind of a funny story. Well, I don't know if I want to get into that story.
What's the story?
Back in December of 16, my wife wanted all of us to go to Kingsville, Texas, where her sister and brother-in-law live. And we'd been planning it, and unfortunately, my dad was getting worse and worse. And I just, right there at the end, I told her, I said, I probably should stay in Springfield in case something happens with Dad, And so there was, some words there. I was like, this and that and stuff. Well, the morning they were packing, I'm getting the life insurance applications out at the dining room table, and I'm filling them out to get them in the next day, just in case they got, in some kind of terrible accident. And I still haven't quite lived that one down. She still brings that up sometimes when we're talking. But anyway, I'm an insurance guy, I guess.
It's safe.
I like to have my bases covered.
I think it's fair. I think it's okay.
Bitcoin. Bitcoin is, and we talk about Bitcoin. I keep promising you we're going to do a full show on Bitcoin somewhere in the future, and we will, because there's a lot of things going on in the crypto world. But Bitcoin today, as we speak, is $9,382.42. And, let me make it really clear, because Bitcoin did come up in this morning's show. It's volatile. I mean, it's probably not right for anybody in this viewing audience. I mean, maybe there's somebody out there and stuff. So I usually tell people with gold and silver, you want to have, let's say 10 to 15% of your portfolio in precious metals, for all the reasons Asa said earlier. But the Bitcoin, I mean, I think 1%, and that would be if you were an aggressive investor and anything you put into it, if you lost it, it wouldn't be the end of the world. It's not something for your safe money. It's more of a speculation. But there are some things happening in that market that makes it look like it's going to be around for a while, and will probably go up. There are other cryptos, and really some of the people think that that's really where more of the action is. So someday we'll do a show on cryptos and we'll talk about all of them and stuff. But let's see where we're at. I'm running out of time here. Let me see. Cryptos.
It's a shame, really.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean on the show?
Oh. Okay. Well, hey, you know what? Because I know we've got a couple things that Asa wants to talk about once I'm gone or away from the show. But two quick things that I want to mention kind of in a different area. And one of the reasons I have to leave early is yesterday, today, and tomorrow I'm going through a pretty extensive class on estate planning. And, what we're finding is that a lot of our clients and people that view the show and we talk to week in, week out and so forth, they've got their estate. They've got their portfolio and stuff. And what's ended up happening is, they've gone to an attorney for their estate planning, and they've gone to a broker or a financial rep for their financial stuff, and then they've gone to an insurance agent, for their health stuff. Because, bottom line is that usually for folks that are retiring and have already been retired, sometimes ends up being the biggest part of their budget is dealing with their health. And so, there's a plethora of things in that category, med supps and advantage plans and, all this kind of stuff. And what we're finding is that, most people never have those three people talk together. In other words, the broker's not talking to the insurance agent and they're not talking to the attorney, so none of them really know. I mean, if you do have that situation and they do talk, that is fantastic. Text us or call us, let us know who that is, because, that's obviously the right way to do it. But what we're going to be putting in place is a way to, help people deal with that, and then also make sure that, they've got all their assets titled properly. A lot of people like to have a revocable living trust so they can avoid probate. And and let me make it clear, I'm not an attorney, I don't practice law. I'm in the categories of insurance and gold and silver and so forth. But, if you have an attorney and you don't have a revocable living trust, you might want to talk to them about it and see if they think, in their opinion, it's a good idea. But the assets need to be titled correctly. if or not there is a trust, and the beneficiaries. You know, a lot of people, they get something. Let's say they get a life insurance policy, and then they, 5-10 years down the road, they get divorced, and then they're on to family two, and then another 5 or 10 years go by, and they have something unfortunate happen, and they never remember to change the beneficiary on that policy. And you read stories like that in the paper every once in a while, and that's not what we want our clients to have happen. We want to make sure that the proceeds are going exactly to the people, the loved ones that or charities that you want it to go to, and so forth. So, and one of the things we find when we kind of get into this is, we don't sell long-term care insurance per se, but there are some folks that have it. I mean, it's hard to qualify for, and oftentimes it's expensive, but there are programs available at no cost that we can share with you that can help the underwriting of long-term care. And in the past with some of the shows, we've kind of talked a little bit about some asset-based ideas and stuff. So we're kind of putting all this together in these 3 days. I'm excited about it. In future shows, I'll be spending some more time on it and so forth. But the one thing I was going to mention is that how many people out there in the audience have annuities? I can see all the hands going up across the board there.
Shame.
Well, a lot of annuities, if you read the policy, have what's called market value adjustments. And what that means is when interest rates go down, the price of bonds go up. And that annuity is usually based on bonds. It's usually the general account of the insurance company. And the vice versa happens. If interest rates go up, bonds go down. Well, we've got a unique situation with interest rates being at near zero, thanks to the Fed, and obviously trying to deal with our situation here in the country and in the world and so forth. So there's a lot of annuities out there that if you call up and ask the price, call the insurance company and say, okay, I've so-and-so and my policy number is this, what's the value of my annuity? There's usually several values. One is the value it is, one is the income value, if there's an income rider, one's the death benefit value, and if it's got an MVA, is the market value adjusted value. And if that amount is greater than what you put in, it might be something to think about as far as before interest rates go back up, maybe reallocating those assets and stuff. And I didn't want to get too far into the weeds on that idea, but if you do have a situation like that, by all means give me a call at 417-755-0700, or talk to your advisor that you deal with, and bounce this off them as far as the MVA situation and stuff. But with all that said, I'm out of here. I'm going to leave you in the capable hands of Mr. Asa here, and I am going to run over so I can get on to the second day of my lesson and stuff. So be well, be good. Listen to Asa. He's got some good stuff here, and we will see you next week.
Well, good luck, Tony. Hope you enjoy the lessons. Be aware, though, these viewers may love me so much that you may not be invited back after this. So look out.
My future is so bright, I've got to wear shades.
I think it's my future you're looking at.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
Your future is so bright.
Thank you. There we go. Spoken like a true father. Just to real quickly run down something that we touched on last week to kind of refresh your memory on the Sound Money Wallet. So I won't spend too much time on this because we got to move on to something even more important in a second. But the Sound Money Wallet, if you remember, is that tool that you can use to convert your gold to cash, your cash to gold, your cash to silver, your silver to cash. And that's extremely important whenever you're in this kind of environment when the dollar is so volatile. If you remember last week, we were talking about how the dollar's lost about 96% of its spending power since it was introduced, whereas gold and silver continue to pick up more value. And so the Sound Money Wallet is a great tool. If you have a 7K membership, it's free to transfer your cash to gold, your cash to silver, as long as you're under a certain cap, which is like 50,000 in gold, 10,000 in silver. And if you have 50,000 in gold and 10,000 in silver, I think you're pretty well off. I think the $6 or $12 fee quarterly they're going to charge you. I think it's a little more than that now, but would basically be nothing compared to those investments. But it's an extremely important tool to allow you to convert those values, and especially it helps you as gold continues to gain in value. I mean, you hear almost every week, Tony gives you the market value, the spot price for gold and silver. And that doesn't mean as much until you start actually putting your cash into straight up gold or straight up silver. Because when you're buying physical gold and silver, that's great for you to store. And it's great for you to use, to keep until you need it, or to use whenever you'd like to. But being able to put it, invest directly in gold or silver really allows you to see the amount of money that you're gaining from what you're putting in gold and silver, and then you can easily transfer it back to yourself. You can transfer it to another member. You can use it if the going gets tough. And so it's a very good tool, especially for this volatile environment. However, there was another thing that we talked about last week that's extremely important, but we didn't actually get to the physical, the way it actually works. If you remember, last week Tony was mentioning how whenever you have whenever you're getting gold and silver, especially if it's something like a coin for a Father's Day gift, you probably don't want to have that kind of thing lying around. And he mentioned how you could have a safe deposit box, but he actually would not recommend that. And that's because safe deposit boxes, unlike their actual name, are not always the most secure. And so Sound Money actually has, and 7K in partnership with 7K Metals, have something that is quite useful and is indeed quite secure for keeping your gold and silver. In fact, it's so secure, it is 100% insured and has military-grade defenses, security, I should say. And this is called the Sound Money Vault. And so the Sound Money Vault, as you've probably gotten a trend of, the Sound Money Vault is free if you have a 7K membership. Most of these services are free with your 7K membership. And what the Sound Money Vault comes with, it has your private box. It is 100% insured, as I said, and it has that military-grade security. They take inventory management. They have movement tracking even as your gold and silver gets to where it needs to go. It's as I said, it's a free monthly storage, so you're not having to pay to store it. And so it's a great place to actually ensure that your gold and silver is secure. And you're not having to, worry about whether or not that, safe deposit box is actually safe or not, or whether or not your vault is safe, or whether or not wherever you're keeping it is secure. You know that it's in good hands, and whenever you need it, they can send it back to you. Now, one of the key differences between the Sound Money Vault and the Sound Money Wallet, and one of the reasons why the Sound Money Vault is so nice, is that with the Sound Money Wallet, when you're investing in gold and you're investing in silver, you have that physical investment, but you don't actually have physical coins tied to you. So if you invest like $100 and you convert that to $100 of gold, as gold continues to gain in price, you start to get more value, and you can directly change that value back to cash. So we were talking about this last week. Tony had just invested or just put $100 into gold to see what would happen. We refreshed the page after 5 seconds, and it had already been up to $100.05. And he could have just right then, after 5 seconds, immediately put it back into cash, made 5 cents, and called it a day. But that's just it. Is that his investment isn't actually tied to any physical coins, any physical gold or silver. What the Sound Money Vault does is the Sound Money Vault it puts your actual gold and silver, the actual currency that you have, and the actual precious metal itself that you have, and puts it in a box. And the reason that's important is if you have certain specialty coins, such as the one that Tony showed you, the Donald Trump Special Silver Eagle that was printed in Philadelphia and has already been gaining value, you get to keep those particular coins that you put in. They have your the code and everything, so they make sure that you get exactly the coins that you put in back whenever you want them back. And so while gold and silver continues to gain prices, some of these rarer coins gain price at an unusually fast rate. Tony was talking about how the 2015 silver eagles that were printed in the same way as these 2020 eagles, those are already worth $10,000 after 5 years. And so that's the benefit, is these specialty coins. You can make sure that you still have access to these particular specialty coins, and you get exactly the coins that you give them back. But the downside, of course, is it's not quite as fast whenever you're trying to transfer it out. It does take time to send it in, get it back, and then after you have it, if you want to transfer it into cash or however, liquidate it however else you'd like to, it's not quite as zippy as the Sound Money Wallet. where you can just transfer it from a dollar amount, just a straight up number, into amount of gold, and then vice versa. But both of them come with both of them come with very great benefits. And it really depends on what you're doing. So for a variety coin or the 299 ultimate, I can't remember the name of it, but that's where you get, like, every month you can get a gold eagle or a specialty silver coin, like an extremely rare specialty silver coin like Tony got. You may want to keep those in a vault, in the Sound Money vault for sure, because that way, as they grow in value, you can cash them in. I have my 2 silver coins here. As I showed last week, one of them is the Year of the Pig Specialty 2019 coin, and the other one is the Isle of Man coin. Those have already gotten a little bit more valuable, and that's not just because the price of silver has been going up, that's also because the coins themselves build in value as time goes on. Usually, the rarer ones do. And so if I wanted to make sure that I had access to these particular coins, these 2 coins, I want to see these 2 coins again, then I can put them in the vault and take them out. And if I just want to invest in gold or silver by itself, then I can use the Sound Money wallet. So all of these are extremely important tools towards a very volatile environment today. You've probably heard a lot of people, especially Tony and I, talking about how the dollar is unpredictable, and that is especially true right now. As the pandemic continues, as we worry about the second wave, as the market is unpredictable, it is really hard to count on the dollar. You've heard the doomsday scenario, I'm sure, where there's, it's the year 2040. The dollar has lost all value. Society is crumbling, and you don't have any. Well, perhaps society isn't crumbling, but you don't have any currency because what you thought counted, the number in your bank account and the cash in your hand, is no longer worth anything because society doesn't agree it's worth anything. That scenario probably will not come to pass, but will almost certainly come to pass, is that the dollar will continue to lose its value. And as it loses its value, your sound money, your precious metals, will not only keep their value, but they will continue to gain value. And so if you really want to protect your money, protect your investments, and make sure that you have something that will continue, make sure that you can really have savings that you can count on in the future. And not just savings you can count on, but also savings that continue to grow and continue to become more valuable as time goes on. Then precious metals and gold and silver are an extremely important tool towards making sure that your money is safe. Of course, in the doomsday scenario, gold and silver would be the most important thing you could have because it would be the only thing worth value. But in our devaluing scenario, which is almost certainly going to pass as it has continued to lose value since it was the dollar was introduced, I believe that was I cannot remember the year. I think it was 1913. So over a century now, it's gone from being worth 100% when it was introduced to being worth 4% of what it used to be. You will continue to gain value by having investments in that sound money. So that's essentially what our main focus is in investing in gold and silver, is making sure that you have safe investments that continue to grow. That's why that 3 to 6 months worth of savings, what may be 3 to 6 months worth of savings now, in 6 months may not amount to the same amount, especially as the dollar continues to lose value, especially as the market continues to be unpredictable. But gold and silver, you can almost count on. What maybe 6 months worth of savings in gold or silver could even amount to 7 or 8 months. Or if you have a specialty coin like Tony was showing you, that could be worth even more. If in 5 years it could grow to as much as $10,000, you could really be looking at a lot of security for your future financial endeavors. And that's essentially the main mission, is making sure that people actually are have secure investments, have sound money, if you will. That's the basis of our show today. Thank you very much for tuning in. Want to give a special thank you to Jim and Pan Whining, and for Dr. Paul Collins, and especially for the Axe Ministries and Axe Media Group. We really love being on your show. I know Tony wanted to
We're glad to have you here.
Oh, thank you very much. I know Tony especially wanted to give a very special thank you. That is the new gold money standard. I know that you guys are probably honored to be, given a show by Tony's best son right now. I'm kidding. But he will definitely be back next week. He's going through some special training, and what he finds out, what he learns, is going to definitely pop up on the show next week. So be excited. Make sure to tune in. We'll go through all the normal things we do, the spot prices and stuff, and then we'll go through some more things that Tony's learned. He's going through the 3-day training, so you don't have to. So
Nice.
yeah, thank you. All right, so take care and stay safe. Happy Father's Day, and go buy your dad some silver bullets.
Oh, wow. Silver bullets?
Silver bullets. That's right.
You can get silver bullets?
You can get silver bullets.
Is that a Lone Ranger? That's a Lone Ranger thing, isn't it?
I don't know. I know it's a vampire defense thing.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Well, the Lone Ranger had silver bullets, too.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's why he was so, can
So-
you imagine the bullet budget that guy had?
Yeah, my goodness. So that must be very expensive ammo. But so you're saying Lone Ranger fans, people that are afraid of vampires, fathers, someone that falls in all 3 categories.
Yeah.
Perfect
I
gift for
wouldn't
them.
mind a silver bullet. It would just be cool to have.
Oh, interesting. You wouldn't mind a silver bullet.
Oh, yeah, I'm a
maybe?
gun guy, all the way.
Oh, maybe we'll keep that in mind. Maybe if your dad's a gun guy, or if you know another one, then maybe a silver bullet's the way to go. All right.
All right, well, Chase, thank you for being on the show today. I apologize. I did not do a commercial in the middle of the show like I usually do.
No problem.
I've been in the office taking care of some stuff.
For sure.
But if you like this show and you would like to continue to see it, go online to axmediagroup.com, click the Donate Now button. You can do a one-time donation, or you can do a monthly, have it pulled out monthly and become a monthly sponsor. And we would love to partner with you and to be able to continue to grow these shows and grow the amount of time that we're here, the amount of shows that we have, and continue to bring you good programming.
Mm-hmm.
The goal is to be able to bring it 24/7 live. So, until next week, my friends.